God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council Huddle, we'll get you straightened out on that pretty quick.
Fool me twice. Shame on me.
All right. Do we have any amendments to the agenda?
Just some things under other, if we could. I'd like to discuss the statement of no confidence that was previously signed.
Okay.
I would also like to discuss an emergency declaration,
Okay.
and that is it.
So noted. Any others? Commissioner Gold?
I have no amendments, thanks.
Okay. I get a motion to approve?
I move we approve the agenda as amended.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Any further comment? We didn't do our roll call, JJ, again. That's all right. Go ahead.
Commissioner Gold.
Yes.
Vice Chair Boyce.
Here.
And the vote.
Aye or nay on the vote?
Oh, are we voting on the agenda? I'm sorry. Affirmative, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
And Chair
Aye.
Pash.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Just for the record, Commissioner Gold is not here. She is on the phone. I'm Commissioner Pash, Commissioner Boyce, Director Schmelzer, Council Huddle, and JJ are here. All right, moving on. Do we have any public comments? None, I see. Wow, that's a first. Okay, good. Consent agenda. Do you have any amendments to the consent agenda? All right, so A is appoint Darrell Weary. Is it Weary?
Do we need a motion to approve the consent agenda?
No, yes, we do.
Yeah. Were you?
Okay, I make that motion.
Second?
Second, Mr. Chair.
Any further comment? Roll.
Commissioner Gold.
Aye.
Vice Chair Boyce.
Here. Oh, aye.
Chair Pash.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Okay, letter A would be to appoint Darrell Weary to Mountain Drive Special Road District.
We just did it.
Okay, so we've already...
Item number 5, I think, Mr. Chair. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am messed up today, aren't I?
No.
Action item, all right, number 5, appoint members to the Budget Committee. Ms. Schmelzer.
As you know, we don't have a budget committee right now. It was dissolved, so we do have some new applications. They are in the packet, and we would need the board to decide who would be appointed to the budget committee.
Position number 1, Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that we appoint Ken Duque, that is North County.
I'll second that since he's the only person that applied in North County.
Any further discussion? Roll.
Commissioner Gold.
Aye.
Vice Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Chair Pash.
Aye.
Motion carried. Ken Duque is appointed.
Mr. Chair, position number 2, Richard Thode and Mr. Bill Ostrowski. Tough call here, but I'm going to ask the board, make a motion to appoint Mr. Thode, spelled T-H-O-D-E, Mr. Chair.
Do we have a second? I'll second. Any further comments?
Yes, I'd like to make some comments. I think Mr. Ostrowski has the experience and has better financial background. I appreciate both of them applying, but in my opinion, I think Mr. Ostrowski is the better candidate.
My comment would be I certainly appreciate Mr. Ostrowski. I have admired him for some time on this board or on the committee, and I just would like to see a fresh start for Curry County. Nothing personal against him, but I have read through Mr. Thode's resume as well, and would just like to see a fresh start for Curry County since we have the opportunity right now. Any further comments?
I thought Mr. Thode's resume and background experience was quite good, and I think would be very beneficial to the county as well.
Roll?
Chair Gold.
No.
I'm sorry. Commissioner Gold. No. Vice Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Chair Pash.
Yes.
Mr. Thode, I have a hard time saying it too, Commissioner, has been appointed.
Mr. Chair, position 3, another tough 3 applicants. Teresa Lawson, Mike, is it Horgan? Horgan? Is that correct?
I think so.
Okay. And Brad Alcorn, Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask the board, and I'm nominating for board approval, Brad Alcorn.
Do we have a second? I'll second Mr. Alcorn. Any further comments?
I had a comment. I was looking at the 3 applications, and again, I see Teresa Lawson has extensive financial and accounting background. I think we need that on our committee. So that's my comments there.
I personally believe all are qualified for this position. Again, I see Mr. Alcorn as a fresh face in Curry for a new committee. I don't know him personally, but I have read all of the resumes, and I'd like to see another fresh face involved in our county government. Mr. Boyce?
Ms. Lawson does have an excellent background as well, and I'm hopeful that, like Mr. Ostrowski, that they're going to be able to contribute in equally important ways, and I'm just going to remain hopeful that they will. These are tough calls, as you well know. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Further comment? Roll?
Commissioner Gold.
No?
Vice Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Chair Pash.
Aye.
Motion carried 2-1. Mr. Alcorn is appointed to South County.
I just want to make a further comment on these appointments. We all know it's going to be a very difficult and challenging budget season. I'm just hoping that the new faces, the new energy, we can approach this budget season with open minds and moving Curry County forward.
We've got some serious work.
Yes, we do. All right, Commissioner updates. I don't really have much more to report. I think Ms. Schmelzer is going to get into some of what I was going to report, but I will say I've spent some time with Sheriff Ward in the last couple days, speaking to him and visiting some of the damage that's been done in Curry County. It is extensive. I think myself and I know Mr. Boyce, and I'm probably sure Commissioner Gold have been on the phone, reaching out to everyone we can about the damage that's been done in Curry County, try and bring resources, additional resources to this county. I would also like to bring up and commend Steve Byerland. Mr. Byerland, your work on this Rogue River, the losses, the mitigation losses that we faced from the dam are second to none. Your presentation that I'm bringing with me to Washington, the hundreds of hours, I imagine, of work you've put into this, I really commend you for it. I hope that the community realizes the work and the good you're trying to do here to mitigate those losses and to recover some of the losses that the Rogue River Basin, or the Rogue River has lost because of failures to keep promises and contracts from the Corps of Engineers. So again, I just want to lift you up and thank you for your work, and I will proudly carry your work to Washington with me. That's my comments. Commissioner Boyce.
Well, I'm hopeful if I outlive him by some chance, I'm not going to promote a dam named after him, because I don't think we're going to have any more dams. Hopefully not. But I just, the amount of work you put into this and goes way beyond a good citizen approach and volunteer. And as far as volunteers go, you have some tough competition out there, but nobody's worked harder than you. Nobody cares more. Nobody understands the importance of this industry and future generations and our fish. It is just it's inspiring, and so I'll be anxious to hear what your report is coming back. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I have one more comment on that as well. I don't know how we can, I would like to look for some kind of compensation for Mr. Byerland, and not only through Curry County, but through Jackson and Josephine County, as they've been named in this as well. Again, Mr. Byerland, I personally know, has spent hundreds of hours on this. The research that's been done on this is amazing. He's been to Josephine County, all the information that he's gathered. So I would like to look into, for a future meeting, to look for some kind of compensation for him, and maybe have Josephine, Jackson County join in that. Thank you. Mr. Boyce, you have any commissioner updates?
I only need 20 minutes. Another stopwatch. No, but you know, thanks for the photos you took yesterday morning. I sent those all over the state, and collecting also a reminder between you and Council Huddle, you know, incorporating the other counties together, just to report to the citizens that in the declaration of emergency classification, or in this case classification, Lane County did it quickly. I know two of the commissioners up there quite well, and they are very helpful. Coos County also did it yesterday. I understand Douglas County likely would do it today. I've been in touch with, per your recommendation, Director Schmelzer, the Gilmer County supervisors. And so it is a regional approach, trying to help the citizens understand what we're up against here. I had a good friend say, my goodness, this could be as big as a sinkhole. And it was a good reminder. She happens to be in the room, by the way. So it was an important reminder. I don't think that's going to be the case, because I just did a little research last night, and yet not to downplay how serious losing 101 is. And I've asked the state police, the Oregon Department of Transportation, Representative David Brock-Smith and I have said, tough decision, we need to move the trucks off if we lose that road due to the extra traffic. And I got a very good report back from ODOT, Darren, supervisor, 3 counties, Darren Neville, and he says, Court, we're gonna leave the trucks on for now. So I won't elaborate on that, Mr. Chair, but I just don't want to get a report that all of a sudden Brookings has no north access either direction. So we've heard things about the bridge. We're going to put a bridge there someday, and we are collectively here doing everything we can to address this and do our due diligence, and time will tell. That's all I have for today. Thank you.
Commissioner Gold?
I would just say this is just a sample of what could happen in a big event like an earthquake or whatever, and it's a wake-up call for us to think about what needs to be done ahead of time. Hospitals, the hospital in Gold Beach is really inaccessible to people here. I know myself, going home yesterday on Carpenterville, almost had a head-on with an RV because they're coming into other lanes. So it's a dangerous situation for folks. That's pretty much all I have to say today.
Okay. So we're going to move into executive session.
Should we perhaps take the 2 matters that we put on the agenda?
Okay.
That way, if somebody doesn't want to stick around until after executive
Fine.
session.
That's great. So we'll
Identify those 2 items? Or, no, you can't.
I will.
we're going
Or-
to.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
So we're going to forego executive session right now and move to number 8, which is others. And one of them is the statement of no confidence letter. Mr. Melzer?
So earlier, within the last couple of meetings, past meetings, the board did sign or agree to a statement of no confidence. Commissioner Gold at that time did not support the statement. Since that time, some more information has been brought forward, and I believe that she does support it, so we'd probably want to discuss that and see if she wants to be added to that supporting documentation. But also, Josephine County has went on record in support as well. They did not want to send a duplicate letter of the same information, so they requested if we could just do a joint letter between Josephine County and Curry County. And while we were sitting here, they actually sent me a revised letter to incorporate both letterheads on that. So this, in the past, you've seen it written kind of like a resolution. This is actually written more in a letter format. It's got a date, and it would be, if everybody agrees to it, it would be signed by the chair of both boards. And it is written, instead of just saying Curry County, it's on behalf of the Curry County Board of Commissioners and the Josephine County Board of Commissioners. So they approved it, and they did, I have the email here, Chair Morgan was authorized to sign the letter if we decide to do a joint letter.
Okay. So Commissioner Gold, have you read the new letter?
Actually, I have, and I agree with it, and I appreciate getting more information and facts from ODFW. So that was the reason that I changed my mind on this issue.
Okay, so do we need to re-vote on this, or just because we have Commissioner Gold's change, is that enough?
Well, there's also the matter that it's now a joint letter, so I think a appropriate motion would be a motion to approve the joint letter with signature authority to the chair.
Okay. Commissioner Boyce?
I will make the motion to approve the letter with signature authority to the chair.
One moment, Commissioner Gold. Commissioner Boyce had a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't need to sign this, but I want my name on the Curry County portion. Like Mr. Byerland, I know hundreds of people on Rogue River. I think, I'll be careful how this sounds, I know a lot of people in Joe County, a lot of people in Jackson County. I want them to know why I've signed this letter and why I've supported it. And I think it'll give more attention, the right kind of attention, and will bring more people to the importance and understanding of this issue.
So what are you asking to do?
I just want all three commissioners' names on, including Joe County.
I can add those to the signature line.
Okay.
Or not the signature line, but I mean the footer basically, which shows the addresses.
That's all I need. And
We can
also,
put commissioner names.
that will, we present this to Jackson County, then that will help as well, I believe.
Well, I hope they're going to be actually in Washington
Unanimous.
as well. We're expecting at least one of the commissioners to be there. And then if we can get authorization from their board before I submit it, they'll get it signed.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner, go ahead with your motion, please.
I move that we accept the letter with signature authority for the chairs. And that would be a county letter, multi-county letter.
A statement of no confidence, okay. Commissioner, do I have a second?
Second, Mr. Chair.
Any further discussion? Roll.
Commissioner Gold.
Aye.
Vice Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Chair Pash.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right, next we have the emergency declaration. I'm sorry, Mr. Byerland?
Yes.
Up to the microphone, sir.
Steve Byerland. I spoke with Jackson County Commissioners today, and they set up a time for presentation to Jackson County on March 12th at 9 a.m., and that's going to be on a Tuesday. And they said they couldn't sign the letter till after they were able to give it to their board in public, and do it from there, but they sound like they would do a follow-up letter if they came on board.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I'll be there with you somehow.
All right, the emergency declaration, Ms. Smelser.
Okay, so what I have given you a draft of, and Commissioner Gold, I've emailed it to you, is a draft resolution declaring a local emergency for Curry County and requesting governor's declaration of state of emergency. And this has to do with the storms that went through on February 24th and 25th. So I can read it if you want. Otherwise, it is in front of you. And
Well, I think this will be available on the website. Is it? Won't it?
It's also on our screen.
It's on our screen right here if anyone would
You've
like
been
to
pretty
look
quiet.
through it. I'm wondering, my problem with this is getting funding even before this date. So I'm wondering if there's a way we could, the date that a lot of the damage was done or began was on the 24th and 25th. So from what I've led to understand is it's hard to get funding for anything previous to the date that you actually approve. But I would actually look for a motion to approve this as written. Commissioner Boyce.
Thank you. Could we scroll down to the second page, possibly? Oh, here we go.
You have the mouse.
The only question I have, Mr. Chair, and excellent work, Director Schmelzer. I mean, in a short period of time, this is not a mistake. This is just a, let's see, oh, excuse me, I'm not the second page yet. Let's go right here. See that word right there, mandatory evacuation? I understand why that's in there. My concern, Mr. Chair, is after the fires we've had, people hear evacuation. They may not have enough data or information. They may, it could get a little intense, and they may think, what in God's name they want us to leave our homes for? So I don't know if we might want to consider phrasing that different language. I don't know. I just want to bring that to the board. I don't have a recommendation. If the public, to the extent is listening right now, we don't anticipate anything like this whatsoever. We're at the end of the rainy season. Thank goodness, not the beginning. I think we're going to get some more rain, and frankly, I hope we have additional rain until the middle of May at a much slower pace. But just for what that's worth, if anybody has any comments on that, it is the first paragraph under the Board of Curry County Commissioners hereby further resolves.
And what I see on that, though, is that this is just basically authorizing the sheriff, if he sees fit, to raise that level to mandatory evacuation. It's not a mandate in this resolution now. It's if the sheriff sees fit to do that, we are authorizing him to do it. That's the way I read the language.
That is correct. It's essentially in the statutes on emergency declarations. This is an enabling clause, and the sheriff would use his discretion if circumstances change for any reason that caused a threat to life or safety when his judgment required him to order someone to evacuate. It would give him that power.
No, I understand that.
So I think it places trust in the sheriff.
Can you understand what my concern is? People might not understand. They might, yeah. And maybe it's not necessary.
Well, I think if you look at the situation on 101, if that whole area would give way and the hillside would go down, you're probably going to be evacuating some houses out of there because they have the potential to slide
They're
down.
probably could get sucked in there, so it would be mandatory that they leave, and they may not realize that it's of their own good that they're mandatory being made to leave.
And this is language actually borrowed from our I think the Brookings sinkhole event declaration as well, where we included this language. So it's language we've used before successfully without any real incident or pushback.
Terrific. Thank you. I'm satisfied, Mr. Chair.
Since you urge the public to ask, does this give the sheriff powers to arrest? I've lived through evacuations back east through hurricanes and such, and
I've been mandatory.
There's been mandatory evacuations, and they've come to the door and I said, no, thank you, I'm staying in my home.
Well, and I think that's probably, I don't know if it's a written law or an unwritten law, but I think that I don't know of somebody that would arrest.
What we're doing is we're giving the sheriff authority to make those decisions, and I think we're placing our trust and confidence in the sheriff, and I think he has a good track record. So, Mr. Barnes, the sheriff has authority to arrest it's one of his inherent authorities.
Okay, so I was just curious and it cleared up. So if somebody doesn't leave their home, the sheriff can physically take them out then, is what you're saying with this ordinance.
I don't know if he would arrest them, but I think he could physically remove them from the premises, is what I believe, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I, like you, though, have been in those situations, and I've never been arrested or even mandatorily been made to leave. They've just said, okay, we've given you a mandatory evacuation. You didn't heed it. You serve the consequences of it.
Okay.
Aren't you glad I brought this up?
There you go. All right, so let's, any further discussion on this?
I have a comment.
Mr. Barlin.
I'm not sure if this, if you've thought of this or I've been able to read all of this yet, but my understanding is the slide's still moving.
Yes.
And they're not going to be able to work on it until it stops. And
well,
so,
they're assessing it hourly, pretty much.
Right. So I don't know if you need to have that in, your declaration that shows that this is an ongoing situation. It's not over.
That I believe that's actually in there.
It is in there. Yes.
It is the last resolve.
Yes.
This the last thing I got was 11:30 today. It's moving 2 feet an hour still as of that writing.
And that's updated right now. I
Yeah.
heard it on the news.
The resolution declaring an emergency shall exist for the duration of the emergency is what it says, Mr. Barlin. All right, any further comments on this? May I have a motion, please?
I move that we accept the emergency declaration as written.
Do I have a second?
Second, Mr. Chair.
Any further comments? Roll, please.
Commissioner Gold.
Aye.
Vice Chair Boyce.
Yes?
Chair Pash.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right, so that's going to do it for our regular meeting. We're going to go into executive session per 192-660 to conduct deliberations with persons designated by governing body to carry on labor negotiations. This meeting is adjourned.
Ms. Deb? But I could sure be wrong on that one, too.
Because health insurance went up like
There we are.
We're back up. Okay, it is 6:25 on February 27th in the evening. Board of Commissioner meeting is back. We are back in session, and we are going to ask the excuse me.
I'm not much help either, am I?
I know we're supposed to proceed as a
Sure, just be a
Ms.
motion.
Schmelzer and the team to proceed as directed from the executive session.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, that's
Good
it.
job, Mr.
We are in recess.
Good night, Commissioner.